He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Final hour, the hour about love. I must tell you, more I grow up, more I get a little older, and that's normal. We all get older, you know. More I start thinking. I always been a guy that always was thinking. When I was a kid, you know, when I was 2, I was thinking. So much that my head is so big. I saw sometimes my photos, it's huge. And I'm not kidding. I think always a little more mature than my age. But for sure, the last few years, you know, when you start to get close to different type of age type, you know, I'm 48, getting 49 the next few months. Even, of course, I feel great. But, you know, realize that we are here for a limited time on this planet. And that's almost beautiful. I tell you why. Because think if you were here forever, for eternity. You get bored, first of all. Don't even get me going then paying taxes and government harassment forever. It's like hell, I would call it. But beside that, seriously, it is an opportunity that we have. We don't know when time comes and when time goes. It's not up to us to decide, regardless, you know, whatever belief you have, I don't care. But, you know, that's the truth. We're here and we don't know when our time is going to come. So if you think about that and you use it in a positive way, you enjoy, you appreciate, and you try to live the best way you can. Even probably, I say, to be the best person you can to you and to your next door or next person to you. Because you know that, after all, we are all here for a limited time. And that's what I like of our mortality. And also as a reminder that, you know, don't be a jerk. Don't have regrets, but at the same time, do not be a pain in the ass for the next person close to you, because it doesn't mean that you're allowed to do anything you want just because you're going one day. So live to your full or to the fullest, but at the same time, be respectful and nice to each other. And don't ever underestimate, don't ever take for granted that tomorrow you're going to be here. And maybe you could say the thing that you had not a chance to say yesterday, or even just this morning before your mom left or you left to work, or maybe you got mad at your brother or your sister or your friend. There is no reason, seriously. Not is so, at the end, everything is important, but not is so serious. Everything is relative. Now, where am I going this? Luca, can you shut up? Can you just go to the point? Yes, I will go to the point. Just last week, one person that it really became very important in my life. Even I never spent much time with him. But the fact that today, I already told you briefly, we were talking briefly about this, that I'm on the air, and I've been on the air the last 3 years. It didn't happen by accident. I believe there are no accidents in life. There are, let's say, circumstances. There are also, of course, part, you want to call it destiny. Then if you want to believe in God, also part of God's plan. But also there are different people and different elements that place in your life, and that these elements somehow can make a difference. So the point is, I never wanted to be on the air. I never really even thought I had a chance to be on the air or the skills to be on the air. I never done this. But there was this man that somehow, even most of the time we used to look at each other and politically different. We are from different spectrum, but not necessarily. Some other issue we agree a lot. Anyway, he gave me this opportunity. His name was, and I say sadness, was Dave Hayes. And with Dave was also another guy, that he's not a guy, he's still here, thank God, but also became a more and more, you know, I don't know, and even if I don't spend much time with him, I like him even more because I realize, let me just shut up. Let me just bring him on. It is something almost getting emotional here. Frank Costigan, are you here?
Yes, I am, Luca.
Hey, man. First of all, I wanted to say hi. And even I know we don't spend much time together. But every time I see you, I consider you a friend, a brother, and a father. I wanted to let you know that.
Well, that's good. I look at you as a brother, my friend.
And I was talking about Dave because I know last week, almost, on KTOX, many of you guys, you spent a few hours on the show with Robert. And I mean, there's been a lot of talking, and that's great. But I wanted to wait a week because now that somehow, I don't want to say everything's settled because nothing really settles. We're still thinking about Dave. But I think maybe we can have a chance to talk a little bit more, not just about Dave, but about probably what I was trying to bring at the beginning of the show, at this hour, our mortality and how everything is so important. By the end, everything is so relative. And maybe we should learn as a reminder that we almost, sometimes we forget that we're here for a limited time, and we become arrogant, and we become sometimes a little, cocky, or maybe we just become jerks, okay? And we could be better people, I think, if we just remind that, hey, maybe tomorrow is your day, maybe today is your day, be nicer. That's what I was trying to bring. And also, I would like to talk about Dave, of course, and also you, and whatever we want. So first of all, I'll give you the floor. You start. I would like to say, first of all, if you can give me more details about, because I didn't talk much about the details, how Dave Hayes left this planet. How did it happen?
Well, Dave, a week ago Saturday, went for a triple bypass heart surgery.
Yes.
And it came totally out of the blue. He thought he was having symptoms of diabetes because he'd never had a heart problem.
Yeah.
And then he started getting some reactions, so he went to the hospital thinking he was having a stroke. Well, the MRI showed that he had 3 of the arteries that feed his heart were clogged.
Wow.
So on Monday on Saturday they did the bypass surgery. This is at Loma Linda University Medical Center in California.
Yeah.
And he was in the heart trauma unit, one of the best in the country. So on Tuesday I had to go to the VA, which is right down the street in Loma Linda. So I stopped by to visit Dave on Tuesday, and he was in the hospital. So I went up there, and he was in good spirit. He looked at me and he says, "I'm alive."
Wow.
And but talking to him, I could tell he was at full peace with his beliefs.
Yeah.
And he was looking forward, he said, to the next dimension.
I understand.
And those that know Dave know that he always said he was from the future.
Well, I tell you, it's true. He always told me that too. And I remember when I used to do the first year, at least the first 6 months, I used to come down to the station. And after the show, we used to talk. We spent at least normally 30, 40 minutes. And, Dave talks about many things. But it's true. One of the things he was talking about his spirituality, about also what he believes. And he never was, for a moment, afraid to leave this dimension, as he says. Or as he said, and never the word, death. It wasn't never like a fear. Like I understand many of us. I'm not talking for myself because I don't want to. But in general, humanity, they always think death. Oh my God, But I think that is bad for who remains here because mostly I think it's a selfish way because we miss that person. But at the end, if you believe that there is another dimension, regardless your belief, whatever you are, if you're a Christian or whatever you are, if you are a pagan, you may believe in Valhalla, or if you are Jesus Christ, you believe in heaven. You know that there is another place, it's a better place. But for Dave was the future. I remember that. It was kind of always intrigued me a little bit. But so he was pretty at peace, and I'm sure about that. Because he was always talking about me like that. He never felt a moment that he was fearing death. How did he feel like physically? Because I didn't see him probably in a couple of years since he saw the station. Was this okay? Lost weight? He gained weight? I'm just curious.
Actually, he was looking better than he had when he was at the station.
Wow. I'm sure that's stress.
Because he was doing what he loved. He was out writing music.
Yeah.
He even wrote some music that was used in the Super Bowl in some of the advertisements and the background music.
That's great money too. That's great.
That was Dave Hayes doing that.
Wow, that's really good. I'm glad. At least.
So he was enjoying what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he said he missed the radio, but he never want to go back
Oh yes.
to an AM or FM station.
Yeah.
What he was doing was developing something for the internet,
Mm-hmm.
so that he and I could have an internet radio show.
Yeah. No,
And that's what he was working on before he had this heart problem.
Yeah, and I remember we used to talk about the internet too before he left. Before he sold the station. I believe he's right. Internet is already the future, and you can reach now the world. Seriously, not just limited to your area. And of course, there is more freedom, and you don't need to worry about FCC. And also, as important, you don't need to stress out every month with bills. I remember he was always so worried. He put his heart into the station, and at the same time, he was trying to keep performance very honorable, away from corporate control. Because, when you start to bend over to all the sponsors, and the sponsor, they can tell you, dictate you what you have to say or can say, then you lose your freedom of speech. So Davey was counting mostly on the support of the listeners. So that was something, I tell you, that at the end, as much people should have appreciated, but unfortunately it's tough. It's tough to put the money together at the end of the month, but he was always trying hard. I remember that. So listen, and what happened? So he left the hospital. He had this bypass, and where we go from there? What happened then, Frank?
Okay, he was due to check out on Thursday morning, but he checked himself out on Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
And he was going to go to his mother's in Rancho Cucamonga for a month of rehabilitation.
Okay, that's nice. He has a month
So
still.
he went to his mother's,
Yeah.
spent the night, woke up, and he had breakfast with his mother and father.
Wow.
And they're not together anymore. But
Yeah.
he had told me at the hospital that one of the good side effects of all this
Yeah.
is he got to break bread with his mom and dad together.
Oh, that's nice. That's really
And he
nice.
said he hadn't been able to do that for 25 years.
Wow. Wow.
So he had breakfast in the morning with his parents, and then he said, I'm going to go out and take a shower and then take a nap.
Yeah.
So he took the shower, got in bed, and took a nap. Well, several hours went by, and his dad went up to see if he wanted something to eat for lunch or dinner,
Yeah.
and found that he was unresponsive.
Wow.
But he said the bed was smooth. There was it looked like he just
No
fell
struggles.
asleep and died.
Yeah. No pain. No, that's amazing. I tell you, as much as people can say, oh my God, you know what? That's, if I had to say, God, give me a chance to find and decide how I die, that's probably the most peaceful way you can leave this body. With your family, in your home, not in the middle of a street, or with, by yourself. And of course, without violence, without pain. That's just, I'm glad, at least that part, I'm very glad for him. But he was young. How old he was, if you can tell me? I never
56.
really... 56? Oh my
56.
Oh my gosh. With 5, right? 5, 6. Am I right?
5, 6,
Wow,
yeah.
it was-
20 years younger than I am.
My gosh, he's very young. Wow. I know
But
that.
you know that he always ended the show every day with go out and make the world a better place.
Yes, I remember that.
And that's exactly what he tried to do.
Yeah. I believe he was genuinely there. With his heart, he was completely there. He was never faking it. Even sometimes maybe it could have sounded utopistic, or maybe we may disagree on the way you wanted to do it, but in his heart, I know that he meant everything he said in that way. And I tell you, for me, as a human being, as much even lately, sometimes I tell you, and I'm honest, I'm always honest. Dave, I love him as a human being. Sometimes politically, it bugs the hell out of me, but that's okay. That's okay. The only thing, he had a little problem with me. He loved to almost, I don't know, at the beginning he used to tell me almost, Luca, I'm trying to chew your head a little bit, so at least I can train you when you go on the radio and you can debate people. Or somehow, I keep you sharp. And I said, that's great, Dave. After a while, it becomes kind of tiring, because every time I post something on Facebook, on my own page, oh my gosh, you always had to go after me, because of course we disagree on many social economics, but I'm not mad, I just, like when I came to the station down, you remember, I think it was the first time exactly 3 years ago, and I put out that little web page about religion of freedom, and Dave, of course, has to find something that was somehow, I don't know, almost I was full of BS. Okay, and that's great. I said, come on, Dave, I'll be happy to come to your show and I'll explain to you this religion of freedom. I think it was beautiful, and that probably was meant to be. From some stupid idea that I had, or at least some sort of a provocative idea I was messing around. I had a chance to meet you guys, and I brought bread that day. I remember. I think I also brought some wine, and I was able, just to speak with you. And by accident, even I don't believe in accidents, you and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, somehow say, you know what, that's crazy Luca with the accent. Maybe we should give him a chance to have his own little radio show. And guess what you created? A monster here. Can you believe that?
Yeah, we did. And I'm very proud of that.
But and that's exactly for me how Dave Ace always lives. Lives in when you are a farmer. You go on the field and you spread seeds, and you don't know that little seed what's going to happen. May become a tree or may become nothing. But the point when you start to spread a lot of seeds out there, well, one day you may start to look back. A lot of things might happen. I'm not saying that I'm a tree or I'm a big seed, but in my own little way, I really felt that, as much sometimes we disagree with Dave, one thing I always like about him, and I respected it. I respected him for that. When he was in charge of the station, when he was the owner of the station, he never came to me and said, look, as much as I disagree with you, even when I went the craziest thing down on the air, the stuff I say normally, and everything I could irritate all the Obamanoids and all this stuff, he never told me what to say. Never. He gave me always complete freedom of speech. Of course, always with the respect of FCC rules, and I never really was, lying about anybody. I was just talking politically, things that could be fined, maybe offensive, whatever, but they were still in my right to say that. He never told me what to say. And more important, he always, I like the way KTOX has been, especially when he started with him, because it was always the place that there were no type of filters. You can call in, and whatever you had to say, you have a voice. And that's the way I kept also my show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. I say, hey, I want to do exactly the same. That's the spirit of the show. Even, especially if you disagree, I want you on. And that's where we can maybe learn from each other. Because at the end of the day, I believe we always learn a little bit from each other. Even when we have completely opposite sides, I proved myself that I was wrong many times, or at least I had the wrong ideas by people. I mean, for example, I had one of my first listeners, Ronald O'Donnell, California Democrat running for the state Senate. At the beginning, just because I thought he was a Democrat, I thought, oh my God, this guy is crazy. And then I realized that he was, probably the best person I ever met. And, I
remember that. I remember that interview.
Yeah. So, and many times, he came on my show many times. So my point is that I owe to Dave. And every time I do a show, I always try to be honorable and faithful to the principles of I think Dave always had. And he always believed in freedom of speech, regardless whatever crazy idea we may have, but he always let us express ourselves. What do you remember about Dave? How did you met Dave for the first time? I'm curious. I never asked you that. How did you met Dave?
Well, I used to be a regular listener on KTOX back when Dave Mitchell was his partner on the air.
Yeah.
And then Dave Mitchell moved away after his house burned down.
Yeah.
He moved up north.
Yeah.
So Dave was on by himself. Well, I used to call in 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So one day I decided, you know what? I'm going to go down there and interview for that co-host position.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't
so
know
I found out where KTOX was. I went down there, and Dave wasn't there when I got there. His wife was, and Paul, his engineer, they were sitting there. So I went in and talked to them, told them, that I'd like to come in there and try to be a co-host with Dave.
Yeah.
So his wife says, I'll tell him. So I never really got to talk to Dave about it. So I guess his wife told him about me, but what she told him was that guy is scary. And he looks at me because, I was a cop for 30 years.
Yeah.
I guess I have that piercing face. So I called in the next week on some issue. And as I'm finishing up, Dave says to the audience, or after I hung up, I'm listening on the radio. He says, that's my new co-host, Frank Costigan.
Yeah.
That's how I found out I got the deal.
Wow. I had no idea.
So I showed up the next morning, and I went there for 8 years religiously.
Wow, I didn't know that. And how many years ago was that? I'm curious.
Well, that was 9 years now.
Wow, wow, wow. And, I remember how we met somehow because, I live in, of course, outside the area that normally KTOX broadcast as more, let's say the signal is not very strong in Golden Valley. Even I used to listen to sporadically, of course, on the internet. But really, when was the time that happened with the Mojave County lawsuit, the story with McCain, the town hall meeting, and of course, all the situation that the county, they lied to me, all this stuff. You guys, and that was amazing, I tell you, it was one of the most beautiful things. You guys, you are the only really radio in the county to follow this story, to give me the opportunity to express myself, and more important, share the facts. And I tell you, that was amazing. I remember you, especially you, on the street with me, with other people. We were in front of Sockwell office. I mean, that was incredible.
That was fun.
That is an incredible journey. And it was all about freedom of speech. It wasn't about anything else. It wasn't about Democrats, Republicans. It was about, these bastards, the former bastards at the county. Now things are changed, at least better when it comes to the issue. They had this ordinance that they say that you cannot pass out flyers on the political flyers, even on the parking lot, okay? That's supposed to be something that, let's say, discussable. At the same time, Senator McCain, he was allowed to completely, have a town hall meeting talking about his freedom of speech or whatever he wanted to talk about it. And the fact that they didn't have any ordinance in writing that you could do that, and they had to write it after I asked him, where is the ordinance, that they were lied to me when they denied me the right. So it was an amazing story. I don't want to go in details there. But that, for me, was the way we met. And I tell you, you guys, you were the only station at the time. And I think even now, there is nobody else on the air does this stuff. Normally, they all kiss up to the political establishment anyway. Now, what do you think about, first of all, really, in your opinion? I don't know your belief, I don't know your faith. But where you think Dave is right now? What, according to your belief, where he's gone? In the future or in the past? Heaven?
I think he's wherever the good people go, whether it be heaven or the future.
Okay.
But I think he's up there writing music and playing it.
All right. That sounds like a good place
And I
to
think
me.
when we're going to see some storm clouds with a lot of noise coming out of it, I'm going to listen closely because I think I'll hear his music.
Yeah, yeah. You were pretty lucky that you were able to see him one more time. And think about how many times it really does happen that you go to the hospital there in California and you find next door to you Dave at the same area. Doesn't happen every day, right? You don't live down there, correct?
Yeah, I was surprised when I found out he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going down for an eye surgery, so I stopped in.
Yeah.
But the one thing I felt bad about was I felt bad when I left,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get to go back because I could have squeezed in another visit.
Yeah.
But, of course, I always thought there's always tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we found out there's not always tomorrow.
And that's exactly what I was trying to bring at the beginning of this segment. Sometimes we take for granted. We think we're immortals. We think we're going to be forever. Say, I'll see you tomorrow. Sometimes people leave the house and they're mad. Maybe they fight with their spouse, or, you're just mad at whatever, your boyfriend or whatever, at your mom, at your dad. And then you think, okay, later I'll make up. What if that's the last minute or the last time you can see him and say hi? Give him a hug. Seriously, everything is important, but everything is so relative. After all, we're made of flesh and bones. And I'm not trying here to preach. People, I'm not here. I'm a regular guy, and, I'm the last person who can preach to anybody, for God's sake, okay? But seriously, think about it. We are here anytime we can be gone. And if you have the chance to know, let's say tomorrow you have the magic, somebody give you the magic secret, okay? You have 6 days, or let's say tomorrow morning you will be leaving this planet. I would try to say, oh my God, this is I need to do the best I can to be the best person I can. And more important, I want to hug everybody I can when I walk around the street. Seriously. How can you get mad? How can you get mad at somebody when you know that 1 hour you will be gone? Everything is so important, but everything is so relative. You think I care anymore about Obama or Bush or whatever, Trump? Screw them all. Seriously. At that point, I just try to be a better person I can. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes we get lost too much in our daily life that we forget that there is a big other picture out there. And I think the problem also, you know what is, Dave? Excuse me, Dave, Frank. We always look down. We forget to look up. If you look up, if you look from above, this planet, it's a little, little grain of sand. And if you look at the big picture of the universe, we are like not even ants. We're nothing. So everything must be put in perspective, in my opinion. What do you think? Am I too out of my mind, maybe, or maybe I'm onto something?
No, that's a good outlook. That's the perspective we all should have. But as far as giving people hugs and the rest of that, my daughter and I are very close.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes we have debates that get a little bit heated.
Yeah.
But we always end those discussions with either a handshake or a hug.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Even if we're totally mad or angry or whatever, and it just makes it a lot easier.
I agree. And, this show is recorded, of course, for the listeners. And today, where we are recording is, I think, Wednesday. But, of course, you will listen to this broadcast on Sunday, the afternoon. This is the final hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just talking as a human being. Let's not forget that we're here for a limited time. And we never know. And, of course, can happen to young people, can happen to newborn. But normally, of course, when your age starts to go up there, for sure the statistics show you that normally older people die a little early, okay, than the young kids, okay? So we always need to, of course, cherish our seniors, and especially our fathers, mothers. But at the same time, I know that you're going to an hospital next few days, nothing serious for what I understand, at least nothing that you don't know. But still, I'm so glad that tonight you gave me the opportunity to at least talk to you, because I don't want to start to sound freaky, but I would hate the idea that I didn't have a chance to see you. Something happened to me. Forget about you. I'm not talking about you, okay? And we couldn't talk tonight. So I'm glad that we found the time tonight to talk about even just Dave and you and how we met and everything else. Now, you got the floor. Anything you want to talk about it? Whatever you want.
No, we've pretty well covered it. I will say this, though. Every day, at the end of the day, you have to think back upon what happened and what you did during the day. And you have to say to yourself, did I love enough today? And then you say, did I laugh enough today? And then you think, did I make the world a better place? At least our little world. And I think, with Love, Guns, and Freedom, love to me is the most important part of this.
I agree. And I always say that, it's funny because when I envisioned the show, I could have called it, Guns and Freedom. Great. But there is one part that is probably it is. I always say that the most powerful weapon against evil, it's love. And love is the fuel that can somehow give the energy to the end, to the micro little thing to fight, even as David against Goliath. And I'm not talking just a physical fight. I'm talking about a spiritual fight. And it's true, because after all, love is our humanity. And that's why more and more the final hour, of course, the first hour, the show, we talk about freedom and everybody got their political ideas. I'm pretty strong about my ideas, even I have no parties, allegiances. But we get pretty serious into that. We are really planet Earth, okay? Then the second hour, of course, we talk about other very physical things. It's guns, training, and of course it's also fun for me, but it's a serious matter. Final hour, back to our humanity, where we are all at the end, we are all human beings. And if we forget that, it's over. It is over. And I always say, at the end, whatever we do in life, without love, not only there is no flavor, but there is no motivation. I mean, after all, you go out, you fight, you work, you bleed. You know why? Because you want to come back home. You want to take care of your family. You want to take care of your kids. That's also an act of love. Our life is a struggle. As much people can say it's great. Guess what? The moment you were born, what do you do the first thing, Frank, when you're born? Tell me. You cry. Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
It's pretty, I learned that pretty fast. I say, wow, we suck sometimes, Life is not easy. I understand. Well, there are beautiful moments, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but it's a challenge. No, I don't care if you have millions, billions, or if you're just on Social Security. It's always something tough. Of course, when you got billions, maybe a little easier on some aspect, but still, trust me, they have their own problems. So, at the end of the day, there is one thing that we are here as a struggle, as a test. I don't know the all answers. I don't know why we're all here, but I know it's not exactly just a simple, trip. There is a journey, and there are a lot of things that challenge us. But without love, I couldn't face it. Without love, I could even have a motivation. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say, this is the hour of the show that I'm thankful to have somehow envisioned, and at least we can celebrate life, and we can celebrate the life of our friends. And if we have to, I don't even see death anymore as something terrible or something sad. It's sad for us because we are here. But I believe when I die, I'm going to be for sure in a better place than here. This is for me, it's almost semi-hell sometimes, I'm telling you. But regardless, I'm enjoying it and try to do my best. Frank.
Yes.
If you go when you go one day, how would you like to be remembered? And I'm not trying to put anything bad about you, but I like to have you on my show because I tell you, I always put this on the show for myself. How would you like to be remembered? Frank Costigan. I give you the message in the bottle. This is the last 60 seconds, whatever you want to say, and this is your message you leave to posterity. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Luca, for giving me the opportunity to come on and spread love and to spread the last moments that I shared of Dave Hayes' life. And, I always look forward to debates and talking with you because, we open each other's eyes in so many different directions. The secret to talking is learning to listen. And I think everybody that's out there that are listening now, you got to listen to everybody, especially family members and friends, because everybody has a message. And sometimes we're so busy talking, we're not listening. We're always planning our next sentence for one-upmanship.
Yeah.
What we need to do is talk and listen, so that when you respond, in the proper way. And like I said, at the end of the day, you got to know: did I love enough, and did I laugh enough? Did I help somebody else have a better day? Thank you, Luca.
Thank you, Frank, and good luck for tomorrow, I'm sure, and I pray everything's going to be okay. And guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away. We have the final segment of the show. I got some news to share, and thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. That was Frank Costigan. I must tell you, this is becoming very personal for me, this show at this point. In the last few months, maybe even the last, since I started it, but more and more becoming just more than a show. It's becoming almost like a journey, a way that I can learn, also a way I can grow up, and a way that also I can grow, mostly not just knowing things about politics, of course, and everything else we talk about, guns, but also spiritually. Because I tell you, there are so many things that I'm learning, and I hope to improve, because I'm telling you, I realize, every one of us has limitations, we have limitations. And the difference is how we handle these limitations. First of all, are we aware of our limitations? Sometimes we